every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which would also mean 2 o'clock, I believe, East Coast. We bring you in here to discuss alternative investments, but the main alternative investment, of course, that we talk about every week with investors or agents, or anybody in the advisory side, people who are involved with helping people with the retirement. That's why you are here. The main area that we focus on is life settlements. It's an industry I've been in for over 2 decades. We are one of the few places where you can go to actually learn about what a life settlement is and how it works for investors. Um, Today, what we're going to talk about, one area that we've been focusing on for the last couple of months with a lot of people, because most of the people who come on our show here have one of their main focuses is dealing with annuities, and I have no problem with annuities. I think they have a spot in everybody's portfolio for safe money. But the issue is, as you know, there's a lot of aggressive agents out there who are just selling annuities to sell annuities. It doesn't mean that that exactly fits that client's model, right? So what we want to do is show you that there is a way that you could help some of those people that you come across your path in over your time who maybe have bought an annuity from somebody 2, 3 years ago that wasn't doing it for the right reason, right? They just sold it to them to make a commission, and now that client wants out, and you can help that person move that money. And then I want to show you, it's a question I got asked last week by an agent I was talking to, and I thought it was very, very interesting. I haven't shared it really as a way of how did I get started in this business and what did I do to start getting my client base involved. And I'm going to show you one trick that I used and I still use today that everybody on this call could use if you sell annuities, period, or you have a client base with clients who have annuities. You should be doing this one thing right now that'll definitely bring the conversation to your table. And number two, will bring money in. So I'm going to start here first by just going over the idea here of what you've probably heard with us, the annuity replacement program, where one of the few options that you have out there to move annuity money with large surrenders, because we're going to help pay those surrender fees. So I want to walk you through here and show you how it works. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you guys see this. If you don't, let me know in the chat, but you should see this. Okay. So I want to give you an example here. I always use John Smith as an example. Um, this is somebody that you would have, let's say you meet for a review, or they got your name from somebody and they said, I want you to come look at my annuity and see what I should do with this. So let's say they have a $200,000 annuity and they bought it in the last year or two. So it's a large surrender, about $20,000 in surrender penalties, right? So their surrender value is going to be $180,000. I'm sure a lot of you, like myself, see cases like this almost every week, maybe at least once a month. Okay. So they don't want another annuity, because here's the thing. I talk to a lot of people who are in the annuity space, and what they say to me is, well, my answer is to sell them another annuity because today's annuity is better than the annuity about 2 years ago. That may be true. That may be true that maybe the annuity that you represent is better than the annuity they got out that they want to get out of. But you got to think from the psychological effect here, folks. If they have a situation where they were sold a bad annuity by a bad agent, they have a really bad taste in their mouth about annuities. And if all you're doing is coming into them to be their white knight to tell them that your answer is to put them in another annuity, it's a kind of a real weak argument. And I don't think you're looking past the psychological barrier of this person just wants to get out of the product. That's where we come in. You're giving them a completely different strategy and solution that has nothing to do with the annuity. Okay. So here's how it works. You would help them transfer the $180,000 into life settlements with our company. We're going to give them a bonus, just like you do when you deal with an annuity carrier. We're going to give them a $20,000 bonus to add to the account. So they have not lost any money. $200,000 is now invested. They've been pulled out of the annuity, and here they are. They are now completely whole with the money they had to start with, now over with us, right? They lose $0 on that transfer. So what do we do then? We take the $200,000 and we invest it in multiple policies. Let's say in this case, it's five policies, could be three policies, could be two policies. But in this case, let's say it's five policies. And what are they buying? They're buying actual insurance policies on elderly people with health conditions, usually between the ages of 75 and 85. The average life expectancy on most of these policies is about 4 to 8 years. What is the average timeline on an annuity? Minimum 10 to 15. So we've cut that timeline down by about half, right? And also, here's the thing, if you have an annuity and you got to wait for a lump sum to get that money or turn on that income rider 10, 15 years from now, you're only getting it from one source in 10 to 15 years. Here, the client is going to get paid five separate times over that expected 4 to 8 year timeline. So the money is going to be flowing in at different times and most likely on a faster time scale. Okay. So in this case, they would get about an 80% overall return on those five policies. So they're $200,000 at 80%, right? Purchase them about $360,000 to $400,000 in death benefit on, again, five separate life insurance policies, again, with elderly people with health conditions. And yes, we give your client the full life expectancy report on every single one of these cases before they would ever come in. I mean, I have them right here, right now. I think just on the last couple meetings, we've actually pulled those up and looked at them. So they have access at their fingertips to everything they're going to buy before they ever decide to do it. Okay. So let's just look at the differences here. Life settlements versus annuities. With our company and companies that I've worked with, life settlements have historically seen a 10 to 14% APR. Your average annuity, on a FIA is going to probably see about a 3 to 5% return per year. So we're looking at a 2 to 4 times potential more earnings than what you would get with the annuity on a faster timeline. Right. So let's take a look at these. Here's an example comparison on that $200,000. With the life settlements, you're looking at about a $360,000 estimated payout, could be higher. Estimated timeline about 4 to 8 years. With the annuity, you would have about $290,000 in value after a 10-year timeline. That's a $70,000 difference, could be even more than a $100,000 difference, and you're getting a faster projected payout and getting it, in payments of 3, 4, 5 separate times. So higher APR historically and a faster projected payout, also not coming from the annuity. Okay. So let's look at the time hold comparison. As we said, 4 to 8 years. The annuity lump sum usually going to be about 10 years, 15 years. Okay. And this is where we make the argument to the client. With the annuity, our funds are held by a top financially secure insurance carrier, and they are giving you a guarantee that they're going to pay you that money either in a lump sum, say 10 years from now, or maybe in 10 years taking some kind of income rider, and they're going to pay you for the rest of your life, right? That's their guarantee, and your client likes those guarantees, and they like the financial security of the company they work with. We're just 1 degree off. Here's what we're saying is, okay, let's say you had an American General annuity and you want to get out of it. They don't have a problem with American General. They just don't want the annuity because of the long surrender and low rates. Well, what if we went to them and said, what if you could buy an American General life insurance policy on an 80-year-old male who's expected to live 4 years with that same money that you have sitting over there? Where's your payment going to come from now with the annuity? American General. Okay, well, what if you were able to go buy somebody's policy when they pass away? Where is that death benefit coming from? American General, the same life insurance company that you just worked with, but guess what? A much higher return and money coming in much faster. Yet at the same time, you're going to be working with the same financially secure insurance carrier where your money was just sitting before. You've just transitioned it into a different category, right? That is how we make the argument to the client on why we do this. You're not moving your money from an annuity into some speculative real estate deal or oil deal or crypto deal. You're going to be investing in the same space, in the insurance space, where the client knows day one exactly how much money they're going to get paid out on that death benefit. That does not change, right? If the death benefit is $300,000, if the market crashes by 10 points, it doesn't go down. You still are going to make $300,000 at the end of the day, no matter what the market does, because you bought somebody's life insurance policy. Okay. So that's that in a nutshell. Now, what I want to do, and I'll go ahead and look at the chat. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and let me know. I want to talk about one other area that I have done very, very well with over the last 20 years with my annuity book of business. And that is this. The easiest way to move money in that space over to life settlements is using the 10% free withdrawal rule. Now, most of you will understand what I'm talking about here. If you're not familiar, a 10% free withdrawal rule is that almost every single annuity out there has some basis of liquidity, not a lot. And the area there is using the 10% free withdrawal provision, meaning that if you had a $200,000 annuity in any given year, you could take $20,000 out of that annuity, okay, and use it for whatever you wanted to. Well, what we do here is if I was sitting with any of you today, I'll give you an example. I just met with a agent on the East Coast. He does a lot of business, but what we'll say is, let's say he's done 50 in the last 10 years. Let's say he's done $50 million in annuities, right? So 50 million. Okay. When he sits there and tells me he's done 50 million, or let's say 5 million a year for 10 years, what he's telling me is that he has on the books right now $50 million worth of annuities. The first thing I'm thinking in my head is 10% of 50 million is $5 million. You have $5 million of money sitting over here in annuities that are making very low returns and the money is locked up, right? Okay. So when you have those situations, I sat to this person and said, you know that you have access to $5 million right now that you could diversify away from the annuity and put it into life settlements. Now, I asked this person out of that, right, out of that 5 million, how much of that money or that 50 million that you have, how much of that would you say is qualified money? There's a point to this. They said probably about 70 to 80%. Okay, so 80% of $5 million, do you understand, on the $5 million move is about $4 million. So I said, okay, let's focus on that 4 million. And here's why. Because if you move that money and it's qualified money, there will be no tax implication to the client when they do it. Okay, so it's smooth. So the home run that I would look for with anybody on this call would be qualified money, right? That is under management right now with your annuity book. So this gentleman had $4 million. What we're able to do with them is between texts, emails, phone calls, and all this appointment setting, he's reaching out to his client base, just calling them saying, hey, I need to talk to you about your annuity. I need to talk to you about your annuity. Not talk about us, just I need to talk to you about your annuity. Getting them on the phone and letting know, remember, this is his client base. They absolutely know him and trust him. He can talk to them and just say, this is what I think you need to do. So it's going to be a very, very hot lead and a very, very easy close, right? Because they believe in him and he's offering them a solution and they go, yeah, sure. So let's say his close rate is 50%, 50%, which I'm going to tell you is low because I did very well with this when I established getting into this business, is exactly what I did. So what we're talking about is $4 million. He goes after that 50%. That means literally in the next 2 months, he could write $2 million worth of business. Okay. At 15% commission, that's $300,000 he's making literally in 60 days. And anybody on this call could do this with their book of business. Now, I'm not saying that you've got $4 or $5 million under management and 10% free withdrawals, but if you're a person that's even done $1 million a year for 10 years, that means you've got $1 million accessed right now in 10% free withdrawals. I just showed you a way that you could probably write 300 or $400,000 in business. That's 50, $60,000 of commission without having to prospect, without having to spend any money on talking to anyone, where all you're going to do is go to your client base who have annuities and tell them that the phone conversation is, I need to talk to you about your annuity. Period. That's it. Get on the phone with them and say, yes, the annuity is great. Yes, the annuity is safe. Yes, it's with a great company. Yes, I put you there. But here's the thing. We always need to look for something to diversify in and find other ways to make money. If we took 10% of your current situation in your annuity and stretched it out to somewhere else, I think this would be advantageous to you because that 10% most likely is going to make more money for you, which then helps the other 90%. Your client is absolutely going to say, makes sense to me. You literally turn in the transfer form, move the money over to the IRA company we work with, and in a matter of weeks, that money is being invested into life settlements. And we showed you the solution why. historically higher returns, faster payouts, most likely coming from multiple payout opportunities, while at the same time still investing in insurance carriers and life insurance policies, many times with the same companies they already have an annuity with. So it just is a no-brainer. And then you're going to make two times the amount or three times the amount you're probably making selling an annuity. So that's the ideas of today. Number one, if anybody has a book of business, let's sit down, look at your 10% free withdrawals within your client base, be aggressive and go reach out to them, tell them about this idea. If you have anybody who's looking at a surrender, let's go talk to them. I just helped an agent the other day close a $400,000 surrender, everybody. $400,000 surrender. They're going to be getting paid $60,000 on that one deal because of it. And that's what they did. They just went through their book, started calling people, asking them if they had any old annuities they were not interested in having. This person said, absolutely, I have one right now. And they moved $400,000 in surrenders on annuities. And right now he's working on 10% free withdrawals and already has probably drummed up another two to $300,000 in business there that's coming in the next 60 days. So what we're talking about is this is an agent that signed up with us 3 months ago who has written $700,000 in business with us. That's over $100,000 in commission just by going through their annuity book of business. It's that easy. So please let me know if you have any questions, and we will take them at this time.